This is Loggers and Loudmouths, Conversations Unfiltered.
What's going on, guys? Thanks again for tuning in to Loggers and Loudmouths, Episode 6. My name is Ty. I'm sitting here with my co-host, Cam. And as is tradition, Cam, why don't you introduce the beer we are cracking open?
I can do that. It would not be Loggers and Loudmouths without a good beer. So this week, actually tomorrow, happens to be my birthday. So I found the perfect beer in my fridge. And this beer is called Middle-Aged Adult Human. So this is a mouthful, so get ready for this one. This is a double IPA with guava, mango, pineapple, passion fruit, and lime. Brewed at Trillium Brewing Company. Trillium Brewing Company is they're based, they got a few locations. Their main location, I think, is kind of in Boston, Massachusetts, however you say that word. It was founded in about 2013, so it's about a decade old, a little over, by J.C. and Esther Tateralt. So again, their first kind of location was in Boston. They've got a great reputation. I have not personally been to Boston, but I've heard good things about them. So what I did is I actually ordered a way more than I probably should have order and had it shipped to my mom's house in Kentucky because Tennessee doesn't allow the shipping of alcohol. So thanks, Tennessee. But yeah, I've been very pleased with all of their beers up to this point. They got a ton of different beer styles. They're very heavy in the IPA scene, which a lot of places are these days. They're really, really well known for their kind of hop-forward beers, which, again, a lot of people tend to like. They also kind of have a pretty good cult kind of following for their limited releases and their special events. So they do a lot of kind of small batch experimental type things as well. So yeah, you've already cracked it. Let me crack it. How's it taste?
I like it a lot. It's definitely an IPA, but it's not overly hopped, I don't think. You really get a lot of the guava, the mango, the pineapple, all those, tropical fruits out of it.
Yeah, you really do. And this one will creep up on you. It's 8%.
Yeah, 8%. It doesn't drink like it,
does
though,
not
in my opinion. It tastes really good. I will say the can art on the front is pretty cool.
It is really cool.
Like Cam said, it's called Middle-Aged Adult Human. It's kind of a photo of just a middle-aged gentleman split right down the center. And
some anatomy in there. Yeah, I like it.
The anatomy of the brain and the esophagus and, the whole
Yeah, we'll post a picture
cranium
of the can along with our on our Instagram, along with our podcast this week. You guys will enjoy that.
But no, it's really tasty. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy this throughout our recording here.
Yeah, it was also brewed in collaboration with the Vale Brewing Company, which I guess is out of Richmond or Norfolk, Virginia. I think they have a couple locations. I'm not sure which one is their main one. So, yeah, good work, guys.
Yeah,
great
good
beer.
stuff. I love it. Let's jump into our serious topic for the day, Cam. Our serious topic today is going to be, how do you define the pursuit of happiness, and is it achievable or simply a societal construct?
That is an interesting one. So the first caveat here is obviously everybody's pursuit of happiness is going to be different. What you consider happiness and what I consider happiness are kind of two completely different things. What the lady down the street considers happiness might be completely different than what we think. Is it achievable? So I kind of took this from the American dream kind of standpoint. Like, is the American dream achievable? Yes and no. There are caveats and there are circumstances that make it potentially achievable, but also circumstances that can make it potentially not achievable.
I think it all comes down to how you define happiness in your life, I think.
Well, let's start there then. What for you is the pursuit of happiness? What would you consider that?
I think it's really easy to jump into kind of, money, things,
of course,
material possessions, things like that. But I don't really think, at least I don't really kind of equate those with happiness. I think those things can, make life more enjoyable or make it easier, but I don't think that is kind of the essence of happiness. For me, it's more of my ability to live my own life how I want to live it. So having the option to have choices, having freedoms to make decisions that, will dictate the path of my life. That's kind of where my pursuit of happiness lies. I think where I'm at in my point of life now, I would say I'm a genuinely happy person with, where I'm at currently.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a person who is very goal oriented, as we've, kind of talked about on future or past episodes.
Yeah, just because you're happy doesn't mean you're okay with. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't want to keep going higher.
Right. So I think that it's individualized. Like I said, for me personally, I want the freedoms to, dictate the life that I want to live. And I want to set, goals for myself that I think achieving those goals also brings me happiness because
Of course.
it's an achievement. You've accomplished something. You have a sense of fulfillment from that.
Yep. I want to get back to that money because you talked about money at the beginning. That money does not. Obviously, money makes life easier. Nobody's going to argue that, and so don't come yelling at us that, hey, if I had money, I would be happier. Yeah, I don't disagree. Money certainly is part of the equation. But I always kind of remember this as a Jim Carrey quote, I think in the late 80s or something, or 90s, that said something along the lines of, I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so that they can see that's not the answer. And I think that kind of goes along with, money is great. Money makes life easier. Nobody's going to argue that point. But does it solve everything? No. And I think you see this a lot. And just think about like lottery winners. What happens with lottery winners?
Right. Like, I don't know what the statistic is, but the overwhelming majority, blow it and, they're back to the worst position.
They had money. They had the ability to do everything they wanted, apparently, and it didn't work out well.
So going back to, the phrase pursuit of happiness, the question is it a societal construct? And
what do you mean by societal construct?
So a societal construct is defined as an idea that has been created and accepted by the people in a society.
I don't know. I don't know that it's. I think people. I don't know that society created the want to be happy. Is that not just human nature to want to be happy?
I think it is. I think it is very contingent.
I mean, society certainly plays a factor in it.
Right. You have societal pressures, I think, of what the standard quo of happiness is. But I don't see it that way. A societal construct to me seems like, society has made this the norm and this is what everybody is trying to achieve. I think people are naturally inclined to want to do better to themselves to a degree.
Agreed.
And really the happiness aspect of it, I think, is going to have to come from, your own self-motivation.
There's got to be some sort of intrinsic motivation there. Yeah.
Exactly. And like you mentioned before, happiness for one person is not happiness for another.
Agreed.
If you don't have a pot to piss in, happiness for you is just being able to find a place to sleep that's warm at night. Whereas somebody who's a lot better off may have more, defined, definition and structure around what their happiness would be.
Of course. And I think that kind of goes back, like I said, I kind of took this from the American dream standpoint. We're Americans, obviously. That's kind of the what I thought of is like, is the American dream something that we can all, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the pursuit of happiness. So is the American dream something that we can all achieve?
I keep going back to fulfillment. I really equate the pursuit of happiness to fulfillment and what fulfills me in my life. My relationships with, my wife, my family, my friends, the people who I surround myself with.
Yep, your job obviously is fulfilling in a way. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, well, it'd be great not to work. I don't know. Would you not work if you could have the opportunity to not work financially?
If I financially did not need to work, I don't think I would ever stop working, but it goes back to that, I have the freedom now and the choice to do something different with my life that I think would, maybe make me happier and maybe a little less stressed. So I don't think that I would stop working, but I would do something else that I would love to do.
Something more enjoyable.
Right.
I like my job, but yeah, it at the end of the day, it is a job.
Right. And yeah, everyone's going to work, and there's a lot of different, checklists there, fulfillment, happiness, but you go to work to, be able to, get paid and live your life because everything costs money. If I had the financial freedom to do whatever I want, I'd probably do a lot of projects around my house, upgrade it, things like that. Probably work at the brewery a lot more. Just doing what I want when I wanted to do it, but still keeping busy. I don't think I could ever be a person that would just
sit on your laurels and sit at home watching TV all day.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you?
If finances weren't an issue, obviously I'm big into fitness, so I would probably spend a lot more time doing that, training for crazy races, Ironmans, ultra marathons, things like that. I would want to travel a lot too. I mean, there's so much of the world I haven't seen. I've been a few places abroad, but there's so many places I haven't seen, and I think that would be fun, just enjoying different cultures.
I really enjoy learning about different cultures. I was
Yeah.
actually saying this Wednesday or Thursday. We had some customers in from outside of the country,
Okay.
and it's really cool to just talk to different people and understand, where they're from in their part of the world, what their social norms are, and every time these people from abroad come in, I learned something pretty cool about their local
Yeah,
culture.
100%.
And I think it'd be cool to go over and kind of see that firsthand and kind of explore the world a little bit more than we're able to at this point in our
Yeah,
lives.
so financially, that would definitely be one of my big things. Yeah, but I agree. I could not just sit back and just be like, all right, I got all the money. Let's just kind of chill at the house all day. I'd have to do something.
Also, I don't think money's all that great if you don't have people to share it with.
Agreed, 100%. If you're just kind of by yourself.
If I was a multimillionaire with with multi-millions of dollars, like that doesn't do me any good. Yeah, I could buy a bunch of cool stuff, but if I'm just trying to enjoy that by myself, it's like I feel like it'd be cool for a little bit, but at some point it would get incredibly boring because you're now on the outskirts of kind of what society dictates that you're supposed to be
Yep.
doing at that point in your life. And I think it would get really boring really quick. So if you don't have,
Goals.
the goals and people around you to kind of enjoy in your successes, then it's not as, fulfilling in my opinion.
No, I mean, look at you. You got a new job last week, and what was one of the first things you did? You just sent us all a message in the group chat. I mean, that's what you want. You want those people that you're surrounded with to kind of be happy with you and share in your successes. So, yeah, it kind of goes along that line.
And it's cool because, I share that information with everybody and everyone's was like, hey man, cool. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. And those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with
Yeah.
in life. You don't want people constantly tearing you down or being
Being
jealous because,
yeah.
You're moving a step up or whatever and they're not.
Yeah.
It's, I like to surround myself with winners. And when my friends succeed, I feel like it pushes me to try to do better in my life too.
And that's hard because we live in this social media world, again, kind of going back to our last episode a couple episodes ago about social media where you're always kind of comparing yourself to the Joneses. And then, yeah.
It's not to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so much of that shit on social media is fake and staged
100%.
anyway. It's like, it's not hard to, rent a Lamborghini and make a 8-second TikTok where you look like you're balling out of control. But that's not.
Wait, we can do that?
Oh, you could definitely. You have enough money, you can do anything,
It
buddy.
is my birthday tomorrow. I mean, you haven't gotten me anything yet.
I'm not going to get you a Lamborghini. I'll get you a Matchbox car if you want.
As long as it's a Lambo, I'll take it.
I'll see what I can do in
All right.
such short notice.
I know. All right, so let's kind of go back to this American. Like I said, I took this from an American dream standpoint. So, do you, again, pursuit of happiness? I think they go hand in hand. You kind of define your pursuit of happiness. I suppose I should define mine. I haven't officially defined it. For me, yeah, pursuit of happiness is financial stability. Obviously, that's going to play in there. It's good relationships with my family, with my friends. It's a kid and a family who are healthy. Obviously, the things that kind of go along with financial freedom, roof over your head, food in your belly, all that stuff. The beer I like. Again, that to me, that's happiness. Getting to do what I want. I can go out and exercise, and I'm physically able to do those things, and I can participate in these races. For me, that's happiness. I don't need mansions and all these. I mean, yeah, trips are nice, but I don't need to be taking trips every weekend to be happy.
So I feel like we're both fairly happy individuals,
Yeah.
but let's try to look at it from another person's perspective. Somebody who's not happy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is the pursuit of happiness a realistic, expectation for somebody like that?
But again, that's going to depend on what they consider to be happy. I mean, there are people that are just generally not happy. They can have all the things in the world, but that does not necessarily make them happy. And in that case, no. I think there's got to be some sort of internal dialogue with yourself that says this is happiness for me. And maybe some people don't have that. I don't know.
And it's definitely harder when you get dealt a shitty set of cards.
Of course, circumstances dictate it.
And that's where my comment came with earlier on, where you really do have to be self-motivated. And if you're in a less than advantageous situation, it is going to be infinitely harder to try to have that motivation if, the world's kicking you down all the time at every step of the way.
Good. And yeah, this is a good segue because like I said, American Dream is kind of where I took this. So the American Dream, is it achievable? In my mind, yes and no. Is it always achievable? I don't know. I mean, like I said, circumstances dictate. Look, I mean, and I'm not knocking on the Kardashians. I have nothing for or against them. But would we have ever heard of the Kardashians if their dad didn't defend O.J. Simpson? I mean,
maybe,
yes,
maybe not. But
yes, they have made well with that, and I don't fault them for taking advantage of those opportunities. Good on them.
I would have too.
That. Yeah, but would we have ever heard of them? Probably not. So I think a lot of the time circumstances dictate whether or not that American dream is achievable. If you're, again,
but the Kardashian lifestyle it may not be the American dream. I mean, it might.
Oh no, I agree 100%. I don't think it is for 99.9% of people.
I don't.
And honestly, I don't think what we see is their real life either. Again, it goes back to social media. They're posing for their pictures. I think they're probably just like us, 9 or 7 days out of the week, maybe. Unless most of the time they're probably sitting at home taking care of their kids, eating dinner just like we do.
I would argue that they're probably less happy than we are because they are in. I mean, that's an A-list. Yeah, they're an A-list celebrity. They're in the media
You're
constantly.
100% being judged all the time.
Invasion of privacy, paparazzi. I would lose my shit.
Oh, it'd be terrible
if I had to do that every day.
It'd be terrible.
It really comes down to how you define it and what inside of you drives you to find that happiness.
Yeah. But again, in your opinion, do you think the American dream, like I said, I'm kind of taking this from a different standpoint, similar but different. Do you think it's achievable?
Yes.
For all people?
Ooh.
That's the key. Because, I mean, yes, it obviously is achievable. I would say that I have achieved my version of the American dream. I'm very happy and content in my life. But is it achievable for all people?
Saying all people is difficult.
All people who want it.
Yes. I do believe so.
You think so?
I think and I'm not saying it's easy, but I think if you have enough drive and enough motivation, you can pull yourselves out of a pretty low point in your life and try to improve it and work your way towards whatever you define happiness as.
Can you always, though? See, I go back to kind of the socioeconomic inequality, like people who are born in extreme poverty. How do they get out of that? I mean, yes, there are small ways, but those are such a minute percent.
Yeah,
And again, we could always go back to racial discrimination as well. The people of different races do not have. I mean, it's easy for us to say we're both white American males, so we have more opportunities than most.
Yeah, if you weren't born into those opportunities, yes, it's going to be infinitely harder. The world's not fair. But I guess I could see some circumstances where, I mean, if you're just so downtrodden and you've just been put in such a hole that you're climbing and you only get halfway up that hole and then you slip back down to the bottom. You really are then in a position where you have to rely on other people. Like you would definitely have to get creative with how you're going to pull yourself out of that hole. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about a couple weeks ago. I think everybody needs, if you're put in a position, if you're not born with a silver spoon and all these opportunities, I think everybody needs some sort of break. Something that just gives them that opportunity to get out of the hole. Whether or not they take advantage of that is completely up to them, but I think everybody needs that opportunity. Right, and I think that's kind of where our universal basic income topic led us to as well. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking. It was like, for me personally, again, born quite poor. I grew up pretty poor, but for me, the opportunity was I got into an undergrad school that was completely tuition free. That was kind of my stepping stone to getting out of poverty. But those are few and far between. I was going to say you got lucky. Yeah, I got very lucky. Yeah, and there's those opportunities are not abundant. Luck is not recreatable, I would say. No, it's very opportunistic. Yeah, and it is incredibly hard to get there if you don't have the best circumstances, especially if you're not as motivated as you could be, and if you get the opportunity and don't take it. Then that's the key. That's huge. Yeah, just because you get an opportunity does not necessitate that you're actually going to make the most of it. So that's the key, I think. I get you. But overall, I mean, I keep saying this, but it really does come down to
Your definition
of what happiness is.
Have
And
you achieved happiness at this point in your life?
I would say I'm very happy with my life right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm
No, it doesn't mean you're going to rest on your laurels and just kind of coast for the next 50
Right.
years.
also I like to protect it as well. I feel like I've worked pretty hard to get to where I am
Yep.
today, and I have a fear that it's like, okay, am I going to do
Somebody
something?
could pull that rug from you next
Right.
week. Yeah.
That's my thing. It's like I'm very happy with my life right now. It could 100% be worse. I'm going to try to strive, as time moves on to make it even better than it is, but I don't want to regress.
No, agreed. No, I don't think anybody wants to. But yeah, it makes it difficult because everybody's pursuit is different. I would say, yeah, currently I am very content and happy with my job, happy with my family life, my friend life, my social, everything. So, yeah, I would say at this point I've achieved my definition of pursuit of happiness. Does that mean I'm done? No, of course not. Next year that pursuit could change. Next week that pursuit could change.
I think you got to kind of take a step back and look at it humbly too, because
Agreed.
it's like we're not trying to brag by any means.
No, I don't want to come off
And-
as braggadocious
right,
or
no,
that we're
no,
the
not at
best.
all.
I mean, yeah.
But it's like we're happy, and there's a lot of people who are not, and that's sad because that's got to be a absolutely terrible way to try to navigate life. Navigating life is difficult, even when things are
Even
going
when you're
well.
happy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we still got issues and problems. I mean, are they minute compared to a lot? Yes, of course. But yeah, if you can, like I said, I've been pretty happy most of my adult life, so it'd be difficult to kind of go from back at the bottom and see what it looks like.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a climb back up.
It would be.
You'd have a lot of motivation to do so, though, because you've
'cause
already
you've tasted
experienced
it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you've experienced it. It's like
That's a good point.
it's probably like kind of like a drug.
Yeah, once you get happiness, yeah.
Back to those dopamine hits.
I like dopamine. I love dopamine. All right, I think we pretty well hashed this out in our opinion. So yeah, tell us what you think. Do you think? Well, first, define your pursuit of happiness. Tell us what is your pursuit of happiness. I like to see what everybody wants and what they desire. And do you think you've achieved it at this point? What do you think you could do if you haven't yet? How do you think you can get there? Is it feasible to get there? Tell us that in the comments. Send us a note. Send us an email. But yeah, what are we talking about? Let's start our fun topic this week.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce
All
it.
right, so this is a fun one. It is, as you all know, it is an election year. And
We're not getting political,
No,
are
we're
we?
getting political.
Oh,
we
no.
are 100% getting political. We're going to take this down a big old rabbit hole. So, our fun topic this week is, again, politics. If you could choose any two celebrities to be your president and vice president, who would they be and why?
All right. I feel like I always kick this one off. I want to hear your two picks first.
All right, you do tend to kick this one off. So my two picks. All right. My president is going to be none other than Matthew McConaughey.
Of course.
Why would you not? I mean, he's actually expressed interest in trying to run in politics. He lives in Austin, I think, so he's actually talked about like running for governor and things like that. But obviously, he's a very likable guy as a character in his movies. But I think genuinely as a person, he's a pretty good guy. He's obviously got charisma, great at communication. I read his book last year. I've actually read it or listened to it on audiobook, I think 2 or 3 times now, just because it is very, very engrossing. And he actually does the audio for it, so highly recommend anybody read it. It's called Green Lights. And the whole kind of premise behind the book, I think, is his kind of premise to life. Is that red lights, green lights when you're at a stoplight, yellow lights. So the green lights concept is basically that there are these opportunities, which kind of goes back to what we were just talking about in life in our last little talk. There are these opportunities that are green lights. There's like, hey, this is your green light. This is your chance to go. And he kind of talks about that. So he's obviously got that great charisma. From an actual strictly political standpoint, he tends to be pretty nonpartisan. So he's got a nonpartisan kind of approach. He doesn't really. I don't know if he affiliates himself with any particular party. So I think a non kind of partisan approach would be ideal for a presidential candidate. Obviously, people love him. I mean, he's been in many, many movies at this point, so we kind of know him as a person. He's great. He's got a lot of philanthropic. He's a philanthropist. Say that 5 times fast. So yeah, I think it would just be a nice, fresh perspective to have somebody of his value, his wisdom, in office. So he's my president.
Okay, who's VP?
VP. So this one, people, I don't know if people like this one or not. I'm going with Jon Stewart.
Okay.
So I like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, obviously, he's the kind of one of those late night talk show hosts. But again, great, obviously, communication. He's got a lot of social issues, so he's very passionate about kind of various social issues, veterans' rights, healthcare, how the government. I watched a video of his a couple weeks ago that came out, and he basically talked about how we were being taxed to death. And listen, I'm not going to go throw any tea in the harbor.
I was going to say, are we going to go throw some tea in Cherokee Lake?
We can. I'm not going to throw any tea in any harbor, but he just kind of talked about how we're like taxed at so many different levels. I mean, we're taxed obviously on our paychecks, and we're taxed when we go to the grocery store, and then we're taxed again at the state level. Not in Tennessee, we're not, but most states are. So it's again, that video just kind of struck me, kind of stuck with me. He's pretty independent. He's a pretty critical perspective, so I think that would be a good person to be kind of running along with McConaughey to kind of give him, be in his ear, just kind of talking about all those good things. Obviously, very passionate about anything that he kind of picks up, a lot of social issues. So yeah, those are my two.
I like him. You went more serious with it, I think. Like
you went funny. Are you going Dale Gribble again?
No. But you genuinely are sitting here like, I think these two would make
100%.
good leaders in our country.
Yeah.
Not to say I don't think mine would, but I have a kooky personality, so I like a little bit of entertainment factor in my kind of thought process.
That's fair.
So, okay. President of the United States, 2024. Samuel L. Jackson.
Motherfucker. All right.
I think I was watching some interviews with him, kind of prepping for this podcast. He has a really good mix of being articulate and respectful and, getting his point across very clearly.
Yep.
But he's also a straight up badass, and I don't think he would take shit.
And I think he's a straight shooter, too. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we need in office. We need somebody who's going to be a straight shooter.
Yeah, and of course, I love all the movies he's in. He's a phenomenal actor. I just think he would be so cool to see talk and actually try to work through some of the political issues that we see in today's day and age.
And nobody's going to argue with him. He gives you that.
hell no.
He gives you that look, like he has in Pulp Fiction. You ain't going to argue with him.
He's strapped all the time, so
Yeah.
he knows how to use his firearms for sure. Okay.
All right, so that's your president. I like it.
Samuel L. Jackson is president. Vice president, Dr. Ken Jeong.
Okay.
He played
all right.
Mr. Chow in The Hangover.
Yep.
Is probably his most
And he is a
famous
doctor.
role.
A lot of people don't realize that. He's an MD.
He's
MD
an
doctor.
actual physician. He had he practiced medicine for I think 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
He's incredibly intelligent. Obviously, you have to be a doctor. I was actually listening to some stuff.
And he would be hilarious too.
That's what I'm saying.
So I just to kind of play off of that a little bit, I was also thinking about a comedian. I mean, Jon Stewart, I guess, kind of falls in that realm. But my comedian of choice was Ricky Gervais. Mm-hmm. And then I looked up, is he an American citizen? He is not. So he could not be our president. But that's kind of what I was thinking. It's same line. Somebody who's funny.
And I know we talked about this before the podcast, and we said, we're going to come at this from the perspective of the actual celebrities themselves, not the characters that they play.
Yeah.
But if I was going to look at it from that standpoint too, I'd pick the same too, because I would want Jules from Pulp Fiction as the president and Mr. Chow as vice president.
That would be pretty funny.
It would be amazing. I would tune into every single political speech, debate,
I'm trying to
State
think
of the Union address.
What McConaughey movie would portray him the best as a president?
Okay, so when you say Matthew McConaughey, the first thing that comes to my head is him in the Lincoln commercials.
Oh, yeah.
I don't drive a Lincoln because they pay me to. I don't know why that's the first thing that comes to my head, and I guess that's a really good advertisement for Lincoln.
Yeah, we don't drive Lincolns, by
No.
the way. If you want to send us a car, we will definitely give you a plug.
I mean, your wife drives a Mercedes, so.
That's true. Not quite the same, but I didn't think about it from their actual characters. Obviously, he won his Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. McConaughey did, but he was, I think, a drug user in that one. So that's not. I don't think that's the best character. Maybe Magic Mike. He also played Magic Mike. That would be a good president.
That'd be funny.
Mud was a good one. I don't know from a character standpoint, but I like them both.
Now I did have a backup president. Just
All right,
because
who's your backup?
And he wouldn't be able to be president because he wasn't born in the United States. I don't believe. I didn't look it up, but I'm 99% sure. Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
He'd get fired up and just yell in that awesome accent he has all the time.
Who are you going to counterbalance him with? You got to counterbalance somebody of that magnitude.
Yeah, you're right. It'd have to be somebody very docile.
Yeah. Maybe Oprah?
I don't know if Oprah would be my first choice.
No.
That's a good question. I'll have to think on that.
Yeah. I like Gordon Ramsay, though.
Tune in next week. Maybe we'll kick it over a little bit more.
I like Gordon Ramsay. What the fuck is this? What are you doing?
And not only his
It's an absolute abomination.
Not only his outbursts, but the language he uses just from that part of the world. Because they have different words for, things over there than we do here.
Yeah, of course.
So I feel like he'd be going on just this ballistic rant. And everyone would look at each other like, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, my wife and I watch the Great British Bake Off quite often. She loves it. And some of their quips are just hilarious because they're things that we don't say. They probably think the same thing about ours, but it is funny to hear.
All right. Have anything else to add on this one, Cam?
No. Actually, I wanted to tell you my backup. So my first president, and I don't think this one will be a big surprise to many people. I was kind of toying with this one, but McConaughey is still number one winner for me. Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
That's a good one. I like Dwayne Johnson a lot.
Again, he's also expressed interest in politics in the past. So I think he's very well respected, just as a person, not just as a movie guy, but
he genuinely seems like a very sweet man.
He does, and pretty intelligent man. Yeah, from what you see, he seems like a smart guy. So I think he could.
And he's freaking jacked.
Oh yeah, of course he's jacked.
Can you imagine the suits that guy would have to buy?
No, he doesn't even. Would he even need a Secret Service? Nobody's gonna mess with that man.
No. Also, I don't want Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as president with a, three-piece suit. You rip the sleeves off that bad boy.
Oh, 100%. I need to see that tattooed bicep.
Yeah. Let those guns free, baby.
So who would be his running mate then if we're going Dwayne?
One. Kevin Hart.
I do love Kevin Hart.
They have really good.
They have great chemistry.
They have synergy for sure.
They have great chemistry. That would be fun to listen to those two guys kind of banter back and forth in a political sense.
And that's a good way to balance it too, because Dwayne's very, I think, more mellow, and Kevin Hart's just like high energy.
Yeah, all the time.
It's like that yin and yang.
Kind of goes back to that Gordon Ramsay.
Right.
Who would be his yang to his yin. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I like this. So, guys, tell us, who do you think should be the next president of the United States? And we do not want to hear your actual political pundits because we do not care about them. We want to hear about your celebrity VP and president. So let us know in the comments. Send us a message. We are happy to talk it out. Maybe we'll mention our favorite ones that you guys have sent in our next episode.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you for tuning in to Loggers and Loudmouths. Be sure to never miss an episode by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast streaming service. If you would like to provide feedback or suggest a topic for a future episode, please reach out to us at loggersandloudmouths@gmail.com.